There's a bottle of wine on a dinner table somewhere in the world tonight. Somebody is opening it, smelling it, pouring it, talking about it with the people they love. They have no idea about the 4 seasons of weather, the 15-hour harvest days, the sleepless nights worrying about hail, or the family arguments about a single barrel that went into making it. Today we meet someone who knows. Hello, and welcome to What Do You Actually Do? The podcast where we explore the fascinating and often misunderstood jobs people have, and we learn English through real conversation. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're going to the rolling hills of Tuscany in central Italy. Our guest is Giulia, who runs a family vineyard that has been making wine for 4 generations. Giulia, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. It's lovely to be here. I'm sitting outside right now, looking at the vines, so this feels appropriate.
That sounds beautiful. So, Giulia, when you tell people at a party that you own a vineyard in Tuscany, what's the reaction?
They go quiet for a moment, and then they say, "That sounds like a dream." And I always smile because the picture in their head is wine, sunshine, long lunches with family. The reality has all of those things, but it also has dirt under your fingernails for 10 months a year and bills that do not stop arriving.
So, in simple terms, what does running a vineyard actually involve?
Everything. We grow the grapes, we harvest the grapes, we make the wine, we bottle the wine, we sell the wine. And in between, we do the paperwork, the marketing, the tasting events for visitors, and the management of the workers we hire during busy seasons. A vineyard is a farm and a factory and a hospitality business all in one, with a very small team.
That's a lot of hats.
Yes, a small family vineyard like ours is run by maybe 4 or 5 people year-round, and we hire seasonal workers during pruning and harvest. Every one of us does a bit of everything.
Is this a family business in your case?
Yes. My great-grandfather started it in the 1930s. My grandfather expanded it. My father modernized it. And I am the 4th generation. My older brother runs the cellar, the winemaking side, and I run everything outside the cellar: the vines, the business, the guests.
How did you end up in this role? Was it always the plan?
Honestly, no. I studied business in Milan and worked in fashion for 5 years. I did not want to be a farmer, but when I came home to visit, I started seeing the vineyard with new eyes. The marketing was old. The website was 20 years out of date. We were selling almost everything to the same 3 local restaurants. I told my father I could help, just for one summer, and I never went back to Milan.
That's a beautiful story. So your background is actually marketing and business, not farming.
Correct. I had to learn the farming. My brother knows it from his bones. He grew up in the cellar with our father. I had to start from zero. The first year, I was so embarrassed I would not let visitors ask me technical questions. I would call my father over to answer. Now, 10 years later, I can answer most things, but I still call him for the difficult ones.
Walk me through a year on the vineyard. What happens in each season?
Winter is pruning. Every single vine has to be cut back by hand. We have about 40,000 vines. You spend 2 months in cold weather, walking row by row, pruning each vine. It is slow, careful work that decides how much fruit you will get in the autumn. Winter is also the time when the wine from last year's harvest is aging in barrels in the cellar. So my brother is busy tasting and adjusting.
What does spring look like?
Spring is exciting and stressful. The vines wake up, you start to see the green tips, and then you live in fear of frost. A late frost can destroy your entire crop in one night. You watch the weather forecast obsessively. Some vineyards burn fires between the rows or use giant fans to keep the air moving. We have done both. It is the most anxious time of the year.
Summer?
Summer is growth and visitors. The vines grow fast and we have to manage the canopy, the leaves and shoots. Too much shade and the fruit will not ripen. Too little and the sun burns the grapes. We tuck and trim constantly. And meanwhile, our tasting room is open every day. We host families on holiday from all over Europe, the United States, Asia. I might give 5 tours in a single day.
And finally, the harvest?
La Vendemmia, the harvest. Late August to early October, depending on the variety. This is the biggest moment of the year. We bring in extra workers, sometimes 30, 40 people, and we pick by hand. We start before sunrise, when the grapes are cool, and we finish in the afternoon. The grapes go straight into the cellar, where my brother starts the fermentation. We work 15-hour days for 3 or 4 weeks straight. By the end, everyone is exhausted and happy.
Why is harvest timing so important?
Because the difference between a great wine and an average wine is often a few days. Pick too early, and the grapes are too acidic. Pick too late, and they lose freshness. My brother walks the vineyard every day before harvest, tasting grapes from different rows. He decides when each block is ready. Some years we pick over 3 weeks. Some years it all happens in one frantic week.
What's the hardest part of the job?
The weather. You cannot control the weather, and one bad day can erase a year of work. Hail in summer can destroy a crop in 15 minutes. A wet harvest can mean rotten grapes. A drought can mean low yields. Every farmer I know, including me, is, at heart, an anxious person. You learn to live with that.
And the financial side?
The cash flow is brutal. You spend money all year on the vineyard, but you only sell wine when it is ready, which can be 2 or 3 years after the harvest. So you are always financing the next vintage from the sales of vintages that came before. If a year goes bad, the consequences hit you years later.
What about the best parts?
Honestly? 2 things. The first is the moment when you taste a wine you have made and you know it is good. Not commercial good, genuinely good. There is a quiet satisfaction that I have never found in any other job. The second is the people. Visitors come to our tasting room from all over the world. I have met couples on their honeymoon, retired teachers on a once-in-a-lifetime trip, sommeliers from New York and Tokyo. They all leave with a story, and we collect their stories like wine.
That's beautiful. Do you have a memorable story to share?
Many. But here's a recent one. 2 summers ago, an elderly man from California came to taste with his daughter. He was very quiet during the tasting. At the end, he asked me about a specific bottle from 1962. I went to look. We have some old vintages in our cellar that we keep for special purposes. I found one. He smiled when I brought it out, and he told me that he had visited our vineyard in 1962 with his then fiancée. They had bought a bottle to celebrate their engagement. 60 years later, he was here with their daughter. His wife had passed the year before, and he wanted one last bottle from that year. I sold it to him. We did not charge him.
Oh, that's wonderful.
He sent us a Christmas card every year afterwards. He passed away last year. His daughter still writes to us.
That is the kind of moment money cannot buy.
That is the moment we work for.
A funnier one?
Many of those too. Last year, an English couple came for a tasting. They had read about our wines online, and the husband was very serious, very confident, taking notes. After the 3rd wine, he says to me in a deep voice, "I am detecting notes of leather, tobacco, and a hint of barnyard." And I look at him very seriously and say, "Yes, that is because the cows are right behind the building." His wife laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. He laughed too, eventually, and they left with 2 cases.
The cows are right behind the building. That's perfect.
Sometimes the romance of wine needs a small reality check.
For someone listening who is thinking, I would love to own a vineyard one day, what would you tell them?
3 things. First, visit lots of vineyards before you commit. Talk to the owners. Ask them what they hated about last year. Most of them will be honest because we are not selling fantasy. Second, make sure you love the actual work, not just the idea. The lifestyle people imagine, long lunches, peaceful sunsets, is maybe 1% of the year. The other 99% is hard manual work and small business management. If you do not love that, you will be unhappy. And third, never run a vineyard you cannot walk. By that I mean, do not buy more land than you can personally walk through every week. The vineyards that suffer are the ones whose owners are managing them from a distance. The vines need an owner who sees them.
That's such a beautiful piece of wisdom. Giulia, thank you so much for sharing your world with us today.
Thank you, Alex. Come visit us when you are next in Tuscany.
I just might. That was Giulia, a vineyard owner in Tuscany. Now let's review some useful vocabulary from our conversation. Vineyard. A vineyard is a farm where grapes are grown for making wine. The grapevines are planted in long rows. Second, harvest. The harvest is the time when crops are gathered. For a vineyard, the harvest is when grapes are picked, usually late summer to early autumn. Third, vintage. A vintage is the year a wine was made, and also a particular batch of wine from one year. People talk about a good vintage or a bad vintage. Fourth, fermentation. Fermentation is the chemical process where yeast turns the sugar in grape juice into alcohol. This is what turns grape juice into wine. And finally, cellar. A cellar is the cool underground room where wine is stored and aged. Most wineries have a cellar full of barrels. And that's it for today's episode of What Do You Actually Do? A huge thank you to Giulia for inviting us into her world. Join us next time when we travel from the gentle hills of Tuscany to the very dangerous outback of Australia. We're going to Queensland to meet Jack, a professional snake catcher. He is the man people call when an 8-foot brown snake turns up in their kitchen. Until then, take care.